Welcome to Rappahannock Issues. I'm Tom Cohen.
And I'm David Kerr.
And we're going to be looking at topics that are of interest to our community, both regionally and to the state.
Hello, I'm David Kerr, and welcome to Rappahannock Issues. In this segment, we've been talking about a large development that's being proposed in Spotsylvania County called Alexander's Crossing. It represents nearly 2,600 units. It's a major project, easily the largest project in Spotsylvania's history, and one of the largest projects being proposed in the Northern Virginia area. We talked a lot about the project from the developer's point of view. Now we're going to learn a little about the process that the project large development is going to go through in its path to approval or whatever comes along the way as a result of its review. We've asked Greg Sabula, who is a member of the Spotsylvania County Board of Supervisors, to join us. Greg was elected in 2013 and represents the Berkeley District. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to get right into the question. A lot of people don't know how something like this will be evaluated and decided upon and what all the things that could happen along the way. Now, I recognize it could probably take an hour or two, but in a nutshell, could you tell us how the approval process, or the review process, I should say, is going to work?
I'll even expand upon it a little bit, more than just the review process, but the process as a whole. The developer will come up with an idea and a piece of property and something that he wants to do on that property, and if it is not currently zoned to meet those specifications, it will require a rezoning, which then brings it forward eventually to the Board of Supervisors. If it does not require rezoning, then he has a by right authority to do basically whatever he wants on the property as far as the development is concerned. The involvement of the county, I like to think, starts with the supervisor, because I have asked all of the developers who are planning to develop property in my area to let me know as early as possible so that I can schedule a meeting with them to find out where they're going and what they want to do. And normally I would include in that meeting then county staff, and we would move forward from there. Once that meeting takes place, then the developer normally takes the suggestions and the conversation that we had about the property and moves into his planning process, putting the documents together, doing the studies that are necessary, and then they file for the rezoning process. That's done through the planning office. Planning office then, once they receive that, then I would say probably the second or third meeting then at this point in time with the developer takes place, and myself and staff. We look at everything that we discussed, make sure that these things have been included or at least addressed in the documentation, and then the developer formally files that documentation with the county. Once that is done, the planning staff reviews it, goes through the thorough review of it, makes a recommendation to the Planning Commission, who then reviews it with a similar review that the Board of Supervisors would have later on in the process. They are the first formal review from the county perspective prior to coming to the Board of Supervisors. They make their recommendation, and then the process then moves forward to the Board of Supervisors. Prior to it actually coming to the supervisors, it must be advertised. There are certain time segments that have to go through, but basically any adjoining property holders have to be notified formally by U.S. mail, and then the general public is notified with the advertisements in the paper. Then the county makes their formal advertisement in the paper, and then it goes before the board for a public hearing. And once that's done, people come, they speak at the hearing. The developer has a chance to answer any questions, try to resolve any issues that come up. The Board of Supervisors can and may delay until they have further information, and then it'll come back before the board for a final vote.
Now, you're looking at this long process, probably taking months and months. What kind of things, it's way too early to ask you for any opinion on this project.
Certainly.
What kind of things are you looking for in your own mind? What kind of questions do you want to have answered?
The first thing I look for is what impact is this going to have generally on for the citizens of the county. One of the first and foremost things in my mind is that whatever takes place, I do not want to have a cost burden on the backs of the citizens of Pennsylvania County. That's a key issue. If there are costs involved with any of the process, whether it be transportation, whether it be schools, whether it be public safety, we want that to be satisfied. And that's done through a proffer system. The developer then will say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to give you $1 million for this, or $2 million for that, or $3 million for this. I mean, each time the figure goes higher, the more I like it. But basically, that's it. You come to an agreement. I want to make it clear to the general public, though, that I cannot ask for a proffer from the developer. The county cannot ask for a proffer from the developer. The proffers are voluntary on the developer's part in order to satisfy the requirements of the.
As we're getting down to the last moment of the segment, I wanted to ask what you've been hearing from your own constituents. It's been in the news quite a bit. Have they started to form opinions, or is it still?
Well, it hasn't really hit the news yet. I mean, it's been out there. In general, anytime you have a development of this size, you're going to have constituents who oppose it. They're opposing it just on the matter of so many rooftops. They're afraid of the rooftops. They're afraid of what's going to happen to transportation. And these are the issues that I look for from that very beginning, so that we can resolve them before it comes before the board. In the case of Alexander's Crossing, looking for transportation issues to be resolved as a result of this crossing. The other issues don't seem to be significant.
We're talking to Greg Sevilla, the supervisor on Pennsylvania County, about the Alexander's Crossing project. Sevilla, thank you very much for being on Rappahannock.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate being here, and thank you, public.